And thanks for joining us on the news at this hour on NTA International. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Now let's take a look at the headlines. Governors take charge of COVID-19 response in states. Veterinary expert cautions on handling domestic animals and wildlife as animal-to-human transmission of COVID-19 remains unclear. Economist outlines pathways out of economic difficulties occasioned by falling crude oil prices. Thank you so much for joining us. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has announced 38 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The breakdown shows that 23 are in Kano, 5 in Gombe, 3 in Kaduna, 2 in Borno, 2 in Abia, 1 in the FCT, 1 in Sokoto, and 1 in Ekiti. As at 11:10 p.m. 20th of April 2020, there are 665 confirmed cases of COVID-19 reported in Nigeria, 188 discharged, and 22 deaths. The Director General of Nigeria Center for Disease Control has pledged to work hand-in-hand with Kano State Government in a fight against the novel coronavirus pandemic. He was speaking during a fact-finding mission to COVID-19 in the state. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the DG had an emergency meeting with the governor of the state.
The increasing number of COVID-19 cases in Kano State is worrisome, though the state government has taken bold steps to prevent the spread of the disease. The visit by the DG NCDC, Chukwe Ihekweazu, to Kano State provided a platform to evaluate the machineries put in place by the state government and make necessary inputs to address the daunting challenges.
We know there have been some challenges over the last few days, but we know that they'll come out stronger and continue the work that they started. We stand in solidarity with all of them, and we'll continue pushing on the areas that we're working on together.
Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, who was appreciative with the measures put in place by NCDC to support the state, assured him of continued adherence to the laid-down rules.
What we have now at the moment is grossly inadequate, considering the population of the state and considering the speed at which the infection is going on, and even considering the history of the transmission of the disease all over the world. This is a disease that you have it, you don't even know you have it. There is need to increase our capacity in testing our population.
Chairman Kano State Task Force on COVID-19, Nasir Yusuf Gauna, and Coordinator Technical Team earlier briefed the DG on the successes recorded in the fight against COVID-19. For now, Kano State has a number of 59 cases with 1 death. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA.
Still talking COVID-19, Egypt takes over South Africa as the country with the most COVID-19 infections in Africa. Joyce Ometu has the latest developments on the health crisis globally.
As at 6 p.m. 20th of April, figures by Johns Hopkins University show that 2,517,567 people worldwide have been diagnosed with the coronavirus, while 173,422 have died. President Trump plans to sign an executive order to temporarily suspend all immigration to the U.S. because of the pandemic. The U.S. has the highest number of COVID-19 cases in the world, with 792,958. In Italy, the number of active coronavirus cases has fallen for the first time. Officials announced a drop of 20 compared to the day before. Italy has reported 24,114 deaths, the highest recorded toll in Europe. Meanwhile, the death toll in Spain is slightly up again with 430 fatalities. This brings the total deaths to 21,282. The country is also reporting nearly 4,000 new infections, making a total of 204,178 confirmed cases. Pakistan has seen its highest rise in deaths in a single day from the coronavirus. The country's death toll is hitting 192. Let's now turn to Africa. As at 6 p.m. Tuesday, figures by Worldometer show that the continent now records 24,435 infections, 1,166 deaths, and over 6,000 recoveries. Egypt now has the highest number of cases on the continent, reporting 3,333 infections, overtaking South Africa. In other news, Mauritania has recorded no new case of coronavirus 2 days after the last patient tested negative. And Saudi Arabia plans to ease curfew hours it imposed on several cities during the month of Ramadan. And that's a global update on COVID-19. We'll bring you more as events unfold. I am Joyce Ometu.
Thank you, Joyce. And the Niger Center for Disease Control has visited 6 states to ascertain readiness of states to respond to COVID-19 pandemic, with 3 more states to be visited on Wednesday. Chairman, Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Boss Mustafa, who stated this at the daily briefing of the task force in Abuja, said state governors have been ahead of response at the states and there are improved levels of preparedness and facilities to fight the pandemic, stressing that the PTF has approved the distribution of medical equipment and commodities to assist state governments in their response plans.
That this is time for all hands to be on deck so that the Presidential Task Force can improve on its delivery.
Absence of any vaccine or drug, non-pharmaceutical intervention remains the most effective way to contain the spread of disease and protect Nigeria.
State for Health, Mamora Olorunibe, says active case search for coronavirus in communities is ongoing with huge toll on test kits. He warned against the use of nylon or polyester materials for face masks, but cotton materials that can be washed and ironed.
If you suspect you have any of the symptoms, or you think your neighbor has the symptoms, stay home, stay safe, and take precautions.
As the federal government continues to deploy resources to the containment of coronavirus, more Nigerians are giving the government a pat in the back. Doing Dia was at the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, where donations were made to Nigeria.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, an agency under the Federal Ministry of Health, has been in the news in the last few weeks, though the task is in sync with its mandate, which is fighting coronavirus, a pandemic which has put the global community on its toes. As the fight is being sustained at both the federal and state levels, providing the personal protective apparatus and all the medical support in large quantities has become necessary. Therefore, this kind gesture by the Citizens Church Abuja came timely.
We've seen what is happening in places like the United States of America, where over 40,000 people have died. We can't afford such an outbreak in Nigeria. So whatever we can do to contain and to curtail this spread, the better it is for us as a nation. So every well-meaning Nigeria, organizations, institutions should please come out and give the support they can towards the fight of this pandemic.
Sure, look up to God and let our anchor hold on God,
while assuring the donor and the public of maximum utilization of the equipment. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control urged Nigerians to maintain their calm and follow or stipulated guidelines by medical experts.
We use this as well to preach to other Nigerians that there is every need to protect ourselves against this deadly virus. As it comes, we also share with other Nigerians, and there we'll be able to cover the most vulnerable ones.
Though the fight against coronavirus pandemic may be so daunting, but having the right courage and support from well-meaning Nigerians will make the difference. In Abuja, Doing, Dia, NTA News.
Meanwhile, scientists are of the view that the virus that causes COVID-19 probably has its ecological reservoir in bats and transmitted to humans, though transmission from animal to animal is yet to be established, like SARS-CoV-2 and avian influenza. Veterinary experts and World Health Organization have advised that anyone visiting live animal markets, pet markets or animal product markets should practice general hygiene measures after touching animals and animal products. They also warned against consumption of raw or undercooked animal products.
Let's prevent this tragedy. It's a virus that many people still don't understand. Many countries were very developed, putting the wrong conclusions because they didn't know it and got into trouble. And we warned even developed countries saying this virus will even surprise developed countries. It did. We said that. It will surprise even wealthy nations. We said it is on record. Let's stop additional surprises. Let's stop tragedy. Hundreds of thousands now dying is serious. Even one life is precious. Let's say enough is enough.
Joining me to shed more light on Nigerian Veterinary Medical Association's advocacy on COVID-19 is the chairman of the FCT chapter of Nigerian Veterinary Medical Association, Dr. Bala Mohammed. Dr. Bala, it's nice to have you in our studio.
Thank you, and nice to be here with you.
All right, could you tell us, what is the relationship between COVID-19 and livestock?
Well, COVID-19 is a novel It's a new disease caused by the novel virus codenamed the COVID-19, and it's actually from a family of virus known as coronaviridi.
Okay.
Now, the relationship between animals and COVID-19 is not very clear to the science community, okay, but we as veterinarians are very familiar with these viruses in other species of animal. What we know now is that it jumped the host species where it used to be, okay, that is the bat, and to human, and the mutation actually happened between that bat and in the wet market in Wuhan, that we know. Okay. We also know that in the last thousands of years, this virus has been isolated in animals. I mean, coronaviruses have been isolated in animals.
All right,
and
Dr.
we are
Bala,
very familiar with them.
Can animals transmit this virus? Is it possible?
Well, again, this is what we are actually investigating. Okay. Science community is also working on this. What has been established is that it has been transmitted from man. COVID-19 has been transmitted from man to animals. But the other way around is what scientists are looking at in making sure that it doesn't happen the other way, or even from animals to animals. Because already we have our hands full, that lives have been lost in a manner that the world have never seen, not even in a war. And if we have it transmissible between animals and animals, meaning there will be a host that will now be infecting the human population.
Okay. All right. So how is the council helping at this point?
Well, the veterinary profession through the association and the council, we are very lucky in Nigeria today that we have very strong leaders in the name of those who actually understand what exactly is happening. We have the president of the council, who is a vet, a commissioner of police, and also a PhD in public health. We have the president of the Nigerian Veterinary Medical Association, in the person of Professor Bello Mohamed Ageye, who are all renowned in handling issues like this in the past. And they are mobilizing the 7,000 active veterinarians on the field in the length and breadth of Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Bala, I would like you to answer this question before you go. What are the preventive measures vet doctors would give at this time for those that have animals, pets at home?
Well, we will advise them, in addition to what we intend flagging off on Friday, the World Vet Day, in carrying out decontamination of all livestock and veterinary premises. We also advise that animal owners, particularly pet horses, should have a way of keeping personal hygiene, not only on themselves, but also for their pet. They must ensure that each time they groom their animals, they have their hands washed before grooming, and then they also do that after grooming, and then they should also keep their pet inside. It is not only the humans that should be locked down, that should stay at home. Don't allow your pets to wander around. You should always keep them indoors and make sure that you provide them optimum animal welfare services.
All right, Dr. Bala Mohammed, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having
coming
me
to our studio.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're still watching the news on NTA International, reaching you live from Abuja. Let's take a break now. More to come when we return.
Make your home the place to be with GoTV's super cool kids channels.
That sounds fun.
From funky friends that'll keep even the little ones busy.
All right, everybody, let's do this!
To learn as you watch educational shows for curious young minds.
You can do some amazing things.
There's plenty for everyone. Tune in to our kids shows and get everything you need to keep the kids entertained and learning the fun way. GoTV, live it, love it.
Thanks for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari has written the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, and some leading traditional rulers, commiserating with them on the passing of their illustrious son and his chief of staff, Malam Abba Kyari. In a letter of condolence to Governor Zulum, President Buhari notes that he was writing personally on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria to send his condolence to him, the wider family of Malam Abba Kyari, on his death last Friday. His death came as a profound shock, not only to his family and friends, but to all who knew and worked with him. He said Malam Abba Kyari was more than his chief of staff. He was a friend to many for more than 40 years standing, and it was a pleasure working with him in government and in the last 5 years. He puts in his best, and he proved a worthy son of Borno and Nigeria. He prayed that Allah accept his soul, forgive his sins, and admit him in Al-Jannah Firdaus. The president also sent heartfelt commiserations to His Highness Sheikh Kyari Ibn Umar Ibrahim Ibn El-Kanemi, Sheikh of Bama local government area, Borno State. President Buhari offered his deepest condolences to His Highness and people of Bama Emirate on the passing of Kyari. President Muhammadu Buhari has called for urgent measures towards the speedy trial of cases and decongestion of custodial centers in the country in view of COVID-19 pandemic. In a letter to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Honorable Justice Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, the president drew his lordship's attention to the recent call by the United Nations on all countries to consciously reduce the population of prison inmates, since physical distancing and self-isolation in such conditions are practically impossible. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, notes that President Buhari says from available records, the inmates' population at various custodial centers across the country presently stands at about 74,127, out of which 52,226 are awaiting trial persons. In view of the above scenario, the president said it has become imperative for your lordship to request state chief judges to embark on immediate visit to all custodial correctional centers within their respective states to identify and release deserving inmates where that has not been done already, with a view to granting conditional or unconditional release of those awaiting trial who have spent 6 years or more in custody and offenders with no sufficient legal basis to remain in custody. The Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Adamu, has condemned the glaring unprofessional conduct and misuse of firearms by a policeman at Ibem Ohafia area of Abia State on Friday, 17th of April 2020, which led to the unfortunate death of one Mr. Ifeanyi Arunsi. The IGP equally condemns the result of self-help by some people and the resultant arson and damage of government property and operational assets of the Niger Police Force. A statement by the Police Public Relations Officer, DCP Frank Uba, notes that the IGP has set up a special investigation panel headed by DIG Anthony Mike Ogigbi, in charge of the Force Criminal Investigation Department, to carry out a comprehensive investigation into the unfortunate incident. In a related development, the IGP has ordered the immediate deployment of CP Janet Agbadi as the new Commissioner of Police, Abia State. She takes over from CP Okun Ene, who has been redeployed to the force headquarters, Abuja. Record price slumps in U.S. West Texas Intermediate, which deepened to as low as minus $37 per barrel Monday, is requesting the fate of global oil prices. For Nigeria, a country that depends largely on oil to fund its budget, the slump and dwindling oil fortunes require new thinking to prevent economic recession. Onenge Fineface reports.
Coronavirus pandemic has forced the international oil market on a continuous downward spiral of losses. Oil prices have weakened tremendously due to collapse in demand for petroleum products. As countries adopt lockdown to prevent spread of the virus, the commuting public is forced to stay at home. Consumption of petrol is at an all-time low. A similar situation is facing the aviation industry, with equally collapsed demand for jet fuel. In the US, for instance, buyers have refused to take delivery of the product because there are no storage facilities, contributing to the plunging of prices down the negative territory.
Because of COVID-19, demand is depressed. Of course, you know that there are no planes flying, there are no cars on the road, so there is no demand for the products.
Recent resolution of standoffs by OPEC and OPEC Plus helped to check product flow, but COVID-19 lockdown continues to limit demands.
Post-COVID-19, there will be a rebound in activity. And once there's a rebound in activity, demand will come back. And we believe that then it might even not be necessary for us to cut again.
Nigeria depends on oil for foreign exchange. How can the nation survive the trouble ahead?
Once we get out of this pandemic, it means that government will have to do a lot of bailout, for some firms, to come back to life. And these bailouts, the fund is also going to come from oil, because Nigeria is a monocultural economy. And in that sense, the price of crude oil is going down and down.
Experts recommend boosting domestic economy post-COVID-19 to promote non-oil activities. Ironically, even this will depend on revenue from the oil sector. Onenge Fineface, NTA News.
To felicitations now, President Muhammadu Buhari salutes veteran journalist Felix Adenaike on his 80th birthday. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement says, President Buhari applauds Adenaike's dedication to investigative writing, penetrative analysis, and management of people. As the journalist turns an octogenarian, President Buhari, who also felicitates with family members, friends and professional associates of Mr. Adenaike on the auspicious occasion, affirms that his wisdom, foresight and knowledge of the nation and the world's political economy will be most needed, especially on issues of democracy and governance. After 3 years of struggling with diabetes, one of President Muhammadu Buhari's bodyguards, Warrant Officer Lawal Mato, has died. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement notes that the President described the officer who had been working with him for many years before he won the 2015 elections as very thorough, trustworthy and dependable soldier who carried out his duty with diligence and focus. President Buhari prayed that Allah will ease his passage to paradise and grant his family, government and people of Jigawa State the fortitude to bear the loss. Warrant Officer Mato was part of a team that former President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua restored to President Muhammadu Buhari as personal security, and he had been off full duty for 3 years treating diabetes. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari commiserates with government and people of Oyo State over the passing of an illustrious son, former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Chief Richard Akinjide. Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, in a statement notes that President Buhari condoles with family members, friends, professional and political associates of the legal icon who made remarkable impact in the country as Minister of Education in the First Republic, Minister of Justice and Attorney General in the Second Republic, and member of Judicial Systems Subcommittee of the Constitutional Drafting Committee of 1975 to 1977. Still in condolences, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, says the death of the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Chief Richard Akinjide, SAN, is a painful loss. In a statement signed by Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Larry Lasisi, the Speaker noted that late Akinjide lived an exemplary life worthy of emulation, especially by the upcoming generation of lawyers. The Speaker recalls the contributions of the legal luminary to the law profession in Nigeria, describing him as an embodiment of diligence and dedication to nationhood, who ensured that he used his knowledge and experience for the betterment of Nigeria. Gbajabiamila prayed God to give his family the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss and grant him a good resting place. And the Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Bunaya Ono, on behalf of his family, the management, staff of the ministry and its agencies, has extended condolences to President Muhammadu Buhari over the demise of the Chief of Staff to the President, Malam Abba Kyari. In a letter addressed to President Buhari, Dr. Ono described Malam Abba Kyari as an intelligent and hardworking man who had made important contributions to the development of the nation, adding that his contributions during the meeting of Federal Executive Council were very useful. Dr. Ono further hailed Malam Abba as a very important man whose absence would be felt by those who knew him. And that's the news at 7. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori.
Fatima Umar Buba,
Joseph Johnson,
Ian Ray John,
Muhammad Kudu Abubakar,
Jumba Yusuf.
My name is Kirian Umaya.
Here in NTA, we're working very hard to make sure that everything we broadcast is accurate and up to date. Misinformation spreads very fast.
The social media has been a huge conveyor of misleading information from one individual to another, then to another set of groups. In a short while, it goes viral, and before you know it, it is all over the world.
There have been several misleading information on coronavirus, COVID-19. Recently, the misconception of 5G as a cause of coronavirus is becoming widespread. Another is the belief that hot beverages and alcoholic drinks are internal cleanser for COVID-19, thereby leading to excessive consumption of these drinks.
The use of local concoctions as treatment for COVID-19 are yet to be scientifically proven. However, there has been several theories about the efficacies of these concoctions. We should stay safe and denounce all manner of fake news and misleading information on COVID-19.
For medical advice, go on the WHO website, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC website, or stick with the advisories from the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 or other authentic official sources. NTA is one of them.
Welcome to Corporate Achiever. It's always nice to know that you are there. This is yours sincerely, Angelo Peter Elosia, LOP, welcoming you to the program. Well, in this week's edition of the program, we're talking Naseni. Well, innovation still coming out from Naseni. And now with COVID-19, the coronavirus that is ravaging